The one thing about the former president, he wants to be the next president again. You know a fighter's heart. You stare in more fighters' eyes than anybody else to see what's in there. Where does he rank at 77?
Number one. Number one.
One thing for sure you can say about Donald Trump is he's a fighter. I mean, let's face it. He's been fighting the whole time from the moment he came down that escalator. They've all been coming after him, both sides of the political aisle and the media, pop culture, everywhere, even internationally. And he just keeps fighting. Most of us would just sort of hang it up and say, you know what? I'm a gajillionaire. I got a beautiful family. I got a beautiful wife. I've got plenty of beautiful homes. I'm just going to chill for a while. But he keeps fighting. And that's something that UFC head honcho Dana White confirmed in an interview with Brian Kilmeade over the weekend. Take a watch.
The one thing about the former president, he wants to be the next president again. You know a fighter's heart. You stare in more fighters' eyes than anybody else to see what's in there. Where does he rank at 77?
Number one. Number one. You take any of the greatest fighters of all time, Trump is number one. The most resilient human being that I've ever met in my life.
In what respect?
Why keep doing this? You know, you got money, you got a great life, you got whatever. Why keep doing this? And the one thing that I can tell you, and this is a fact, this guy loves this country, right? And he loves all Americans, regardless of what color, religion, or whatever it is. He's not a racist. He's a good human being, and he loves America, and he cares about this country. Period. End of story. If he wasn't that type of guy, I would never even associate myself with him.
Right.
Yeah, and this, I think, is one of the messages resonating with voters right now after the convictions in New York. A quick look at the polls show you that the needle has not moved at all. In fact, in some states, the needle has moved for Trump. Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, which has voted for a Democrat since 2008 in the Electoral College. And in 2020, I think Biden won it by nearly 10 points. The latest poll in Virginia shows that state tied. It's a dead heat, 48-48. How does that happen exactly? Well, think about the convictions for a minute in Manhattan. Think about what it means in terms of narrative in the presidential election. Democrats loved it. It was catnip to them, right? This was junk food. This was like, you know, I'm starving. I'm going to go on a binge. I'm going to have 3 Big Macs, and it satisfies everything you want for that binge. But does it actually provide any nutrition for you? Well, no. They were already morbidly obese in their Trump hatred. There's no change there for Democrats. There's no change for people who are already going to vote for Biden or really vote for anybody, because let's face it, Biden is in fact anybody instead of Donald Trump. And for Republicans who were already supporting Trump, well, it didn't change anything for them either. I mean, this was really designed to sway people who were independent or who bounced back and forth. They voted for Trump in 2016. They voted for Biden in 2020. And now apparently you're supposed to be shamed. You're supposed to feel sheepish to vote for Trump now because he's, say it with me, a convicted felon. But is that really the message that this trial conveyed to those people who were in the middle, who weren't sure? Well, no, not at all. In fact, we didn't learn anything about Donald Trump in this entire trial. We didn't learn anything that we didn't already know. If anything, if we were following the trial, we actually learned facts that made us more sympathetic to Donald Trump, or even more suspicious of the dubious way these charges were brought against him and the people who were lined up against him, from Michael Cohen to Stormy Daniels to Alvin Bragg to, figures from the Justice Department who left their cushy jobs to go take a lousy position as an assistant DA in Manhattan just so they could get Trump. In other words, we didn't learn anything new about Donald Trump that was going to hurt him. What we learned, what was new information for voters that came out of the conviction of Donald Trump, is that Joe Biden and the Democrats will stop at nothing to destroy their political opponents, even finding a law that's never been applied before and using it to convict the man who was running against Joe Biden this November. If anything, one thing that we've learned out of the convictions is that Biden and the Democrats will stop at nothing to retain power. And Donald Trump continues to fight them. And that's actually a positive message for Trump. If everyone's wondering, gosh, why? How is it possible? Jake Tapper and George Stephanopoulos and all your pals in the mainstream media, the serious journalists. Well, it's just unfathomable that even after a conviction, that people will support this man. That's why I just explained it to you. The only thing that was revealed in this entire escapade is just how craven and mad for power Biden and the Democrats are. But we shouldn't forget that there's actually a human being involved here. Donald Trump is not some automatron, and he's not some bizarre icon that just sort of goes into a dark hole when he's not in front of a camera. No, he's a man. He's a human being. He's a husband. He's a father. He had a wide-ranging interview with Dr. Phil last week, and the humanity of Donald Trump through this ordeal was revealed.
You've taken every shot you can imagine. You've been criticized, attacked, called every name. They've turned the judicial system against you. The intelligence community, intelligence officers swear that this is a Russian plant, this laptop over here, right before the election. The media has turned against you, not campaigning real Donald Trump. How do you deal with that stress in your most private moments?
Number one, I don't like thinking about it. Out of sight, out of mind. I don't know if that makes sense to you. I don't want to think about it. Number two, I have tremendous support. I have the people's support. I think if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to handle it so easily. When a judge who has conflicts like nobody's ever had wants to put me in jail, when he puts a gag order and say, if you talk about these things, we're going to put you in jail. I'm the Republican candidate. I was president. I'm leading the Democrat by a lot. I like not to think about it.
You know, it's funny. I doubt that Dr. Phil is used to having that kind of response from his celebrity interviews. You know, this is the moment where they can reveal their vulnerable side and they can gain sympathy from the viewers and really get in touch with their feminine psyche or whatever. You know, this is Dr. Phil stuff, right? It's like, how does that make you feel? How do you survive through it? How do you cope? And Trump's like, yeah, you know, out of sight, out of mind. I try not to think about it. It's all ridiculous. Move on. Keep going forward. Keep fighting. Keep winning. Let the losers complain. That said, it's a pretty good moment that Donald Trump can actually reveal his human side, because he is a human being, and everybody recognizes that it's got to be hell for him to go through this, and with his family. Why are we just not seeing this? Because up until this point, people like Dr. Phil would never even entertain doing an interview with Donald Trump to ask about his vulnerabilities and ask about how he has a coping mechanism for all of the crap that they're throwing at him. Because most of the people in the media who would have a show like this, where they would want to provide some kind of insightful or sympathetic interview to President Trump, the man, they would never do this because they hate him. They don't want you to think of him as a man. They want you to think of him as a monster. Well, the monster took a show on the road now that he can do political rallies since the Manhattan trial is over. He was in Las Vegas for a rally, a rousing rally with a huge group of supporters. You know, the latest polls out of Nevada show him, I think, between 5 and 10 points ahead right now. This is a state he's been trying to win the last two election cycles. And, well, based on this statement that he gave to this crowd just outside of Las Vegas, he may have just sealed it. He proposed a policy for the workers in Nevada that is going to make a big difference in their back pockets and in their bank accounts.
This is the first time I've said this, and for those hotel workers and people that get tips, you're going to be very happy, because when I get to office, we are going to not charge taxes on tips, people making tips. We're not going to do it, and we're going to do that right away, first thing in office, because it's been a point of contention for years and years and years, and you do a great job of service. You take care of people, and I think it's going to be something that really is deserved. More importantly, popular or unpopular. I do some unpopular things, too, if it's right for the country. I do what's right. But so those people that have jobs in restaurants, whatever the job may be, a tipping job, we're not going after for taxes anymore. This will be ended. And I announced that for the first time I've brought it up, first time anyone's brought it up. I think it's never been brought up before, and I also think it's very appropriate.
And it's very appropriate to do it in the tourist capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada, where it's full of hotel workers, it's full of blackjack dealers, and other kind of casino workers. And by the way, exotic dancers who live off of tips. I mean, a lot of the income of the Nevada residents who work in the entertainment industry or in the hospitality industry, a lot of their income is derived from tips. And he just said that that's going to be tax-free income. Is it pandering? Of course it's pandering. What politics is all about. But hey, Joe Biden could have pandered in the same way, but he didn't. See, what does Joe Biden do? He gives goodies back to the unions, and the union bosses get to keep all of it. The actual people don't get any of it. Donald Trump goes in another direction. See, the reason the Democrats give the money to the unions and they give them breaks is because the union bosses get to thrive off of it. And then the last thing that a Democrat would want to do is give relinquish taxes for an entire group of people or for a segment of income, because when they relinquish taxes, first of all, they're conceding that taxing is bad and high taxes are a problem. They don't want to concede that, number one. And number two, if they relinquish taxing a certain segment of income or a certain sector of the United States workers, then they cede their control. That's how they keep control of you. That's how they can pick winners or losers. That's how they can control the economy and control your behavior, by keeping taxes. And then they, adjust the taxes with various regulations, things like that. Democrats aren't going to do that. Donald Trump just did. Is it pandering? Yes. Will it work? I think it will. And sometimes you got to pander if you want to win. Meanwhile, just one quick look at this rally in Las Vegas through the eyes of the ladies of The View. No matter how much you hate The View, you don't hate them nearly enough. No matter how much you think that left-wing news organizations like ABC News, that is in charge of The View, manipulate the news to lie to their viewers, you're just scratching the surface. Watch how The View this morning gave a synopsis of Donald Trump's rally.
So when a candidate makes a public appearance, they usually lay out their vision for the future and the policies they'll put in place. But then there's who. Take a look.
I'm up here sweating like a dog. Secret Service said we have to make sure everyone's safe. I said, what about me? Oh, we never thought of that. Are the teleprompters not working? So not even a little bit. Great job. And then I don't pay the company that does it, right? And then I end up with a story Trump doesn't pay. I don't pay contractors that do a job. And that's a job. You're in the boat, this tremendously powerful battery, and the battery's now underwater, and there's a shark that's approximately 10 yards over there. The boat is sinking. Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted, or do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time. I'm not getting near the shark.
What? Okay. See, y'all always concerned that I'm smoking something. What's he smoking?
All right. Now, listen, I'm going to be honest. If we have a Joe Biden clip and there's a bunch of gibberish coming out of his pie hole and you can't understand a damn word he's saying and he gets lost on the stage and starts doing his whisper thing into the microphone and then pretends, or maybe not pretends, that he's pooping inside his adult diaper, we're going to show you those clips and we're going to make fun of him. But guess what? We're not run by ABC News that pretends to be an unbiased, pristine, Mount Rushmore of journalistic ethics kind of news organization. We're just a fun YouTube show and Rumble show and the streaming video show. And we're managed by the little pirate ship called Town Hall Media. And we tell everybody that we've got an agenda. We don't like Biden, right? So listen, we have fun with those guys. But this, again, The View is run by ABC News. And they just pretended like that was the entirety of Trump's rally. In fact, it was presented that way by Whoopi Goldberg. Some candidates, when they go out and they have a rally, they put out their vision for the future. Well, I just showed one of the segments of his speech that showed a vision, dropping the taxes on tipped wages and tip income. Why didn't The View show that? They don't want their viewers to see that. They want that. And by the way, this thing that they think is so crazy and Trump acting stupid, that's charming, actually. That's pretty funny stuff. When he rambles on and tells anecdotes about car batteries in the water and a shark coming by, or the teleprompter's not working and not paying the vendor, that's actually funny and entertaining. When Joe Biden rambles, he tells the same story that he's been telling for 40 years, and it usually involves his uncle being eaten by cannibals. Oh, and it's a lie.